Hi, Shifu. Hello.
Hey guys. Nice
Hi.
to see you. Brilliant.
Cheers, everybody. Sifu.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, great to see you guys. Everybody well? All good. Any questions? Any queries or topics? Are we all good? Yeah.
I actually have one.
Great to see you as well. I've seen you for a while. Okay.
I actually have a question, quick one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about Selim Tau. I don't remember exactly which section is this, but when you do bomb, then Tansao, and then you strike. Is this a right position for the hand, or should it be like more like that? The reason I'm asking is because it doesn't feel natural. So when I do this,
Okay.
I'm not sure if I get this right.
Okay, that's great. That's a very good question. All right, I'm going to mute you all, and I will address that shortly. So you're all muted. Fantastic. Well, we are going to look at Selim Tau tonight. There's one thing that I wanted to have a look at, and it's in third section actually. It's the move that we do just before this, before you get to your bong. So I'll kind of address it at that time. The technique, though, to give you just a quick answer, we're kind of, it's a good way if we think of Selim Tau looking at our extremes, really. And I discussed once that you could almost kind of look at Selim Tau as showing your limits. You know, like I've talked before of saying in Chisao, imagine that you have like a front yard. You've got a front yard in this area here, and this is what you're going to protect. So what we don't want to do is get drawn to going out of our garden. If I go too far, if I go to next doors, then there's a danger. If I go too far forwards, then I might go onto the road and I'm going to get lapped, and again, I'm in danger. So I don't really need to do anything but protect this kind of square area in front of me. So using that, you know, so like how low should I take my tan? How high? How close can I have it? Or more importantly, how far away can it be? And all of these elements are kind of found in Selim Tau. If we kind of almost imagine that there's a glass box in front of us, So like a fish tank. If you imagine a fish tank kind of stood on its side here. And when we go through Sulam Town, in first section, we're going as far out as we're going to go. So we're showing us the distance forward and back, as demonstrated with a punch. We could say, well, we're showing kind of the corners here and the sides here. When we get to the end of Sulam Town, the Paxau, so it's a little bit like a mime artist, you know, it looks a little bit like that. Then I'm showing the side of the wall here. In second section, the only thing that we find is when we go out, you know, that's kind of showing the one extreme. But it's like showing this is against the edge of the glass wall here. We're looking at the highest point and the lowest point in the center. In third section, we see the outs away from us on this glass wall. Then we're looking at the drop into the lowest corner and the lowest point in the center, lowest corner, lowest point in the center, the highest corner, the highest point in the center, highest corner, highest point in the center. So all of these techniques are kind of showing a little bit like a glass, this kind of glass box, which is a little bit like, we could say, the area that you are thinking of defending and the limits to how far you will go in defending that area. So I don't need to go beyond that because that is now overcommitting. I don't need to go beyond this because that's kind of overcommitting. This is overcommitting, and so on. So within the form, we can sort of see that box. With that particular technique, we also need to realize that we're looking at the extremes, the extremities of every technique. In first section, we see the packs out and the straight palm. In third section, we see the packs out and the side palm. And then in the end of third section, we see this kind of downward palm. That technique, I'll be honest, is a little bit, and I've talked about this before, it's a little bit tricky, this technique, because it's so open to interpretation. And the best thing is if I give you the application first, and then you can think, well, how do I want to see that when I play the form? How do I want to play it out? This is, in its basic form, it's Toksao. So Bongsao, wing arm, Tansao, palm up, Toksao, lifting hand. Now, if we're doing this in Chisao, and I'm rolling Tan and Bong, you're in double Foksao, so your elbows are in. Just letting Naba run in here. So the elbows are in, which means as I come down to my Tan, so there's my Bong, I come down to Tan, what I can do is go underneath the elbow of this, my partner's right Foksao, and I can lift. And as I lift, as soon as your arm, we're rolling here, and my arm is lifted, whoa, I'm going to want to step back. So when we apply this technique, we always need to step in with it. So if you guys are in double Foksao, so your elbows are in and your hands are relaxed, I would be rolling within your positions. So there's my Bong, there's my Tan, and then I would slip my hand underneath your right elbow, and I would lift. As I lift, I would then chase after you with the hit underneath. So this is where and how and why we have Bong, Tan, lifting hand. Now, if I'm going to play it that way in the form, it actually looks like the Bong and the Tan, and all I'm going to do is lift. So that's really simple. Also, if I'm playing it that way, my Tansao wouldn't be lower than your Foksao. So for me to apply this technique, my Bong, Tan, Bong, Tan would drop ever so slightly as I scoop under and then lift back up. So if we're thinking this way of playing the technique, when I play the form, I then need to play it as a Bong, a flat Tan, and a lift. So I can kind of preempt what I'm about to do with the lift. So the Bong, the Tan, the lift. So you see, this is very close to me, and it's very easy for me to execute this technique. So my Bong is normal, my Tan drops, almost flat, and then I lift to what almost looks like just the original Tan. But if I play this as a normal Bong and a correct Tan, then I can't lift from that position because I didn't get into it to a position that would need the lift. So if this is the case, from the Bong to the Tan, I'm now going to use this as a palm strike. If I now think of this as a palm strike, then I would be forgiven for not wanting to palm strike this way. Certainly if I hit someone's chest, because then, ow, you might break your fingers. So this is why sometimes if you're not feeling very flexible in your wrists, you may choose, like Michael, I've just seen you do there, the bong and the tan, and almost that of a side palm. But as long as we know that we're not just going side palm, we're trying to go for that little, because what we're trying to do is to stretch our wrists a little bit to get that little bit more flexible. That flexibility will become more in Chum Q, you know, when we work in all these kind of, there's a lot more kind of flamboyance. It becomes more fancy and artistic in our wrists in second section. And then, you know, when we get to second form rather, and when we get to our third form, you know, we're seeing the wrist being used an awful lot more. So again, we see these kind of fanciful techniques. So what we're doing in the first form is almost preparing our wrists to be better. There's two things that I've said in the past that, like for Wing Chun, you don't need, for Wing Chun, you don't need strong legs to do Wing Chun. But by doing Wing Chun, you will get strong legs. You don't need strong or flexible wrists to do Wing Chun. But by doing Wing Chun, you will get strong and flexible wrists. You know, so this is the byproduct of that, really. So this is kind of one of those things. It helps us to get to that point. The way that I like to play this one, the way I like to teach this, purely trying to focus on the building and flexibility for your wrists. What I tend to do is a bong, normal tan, and then I'm going to try and keep my fingertips in the same position and lift the palm from there. So I'm going purely for. So my thinking on this is not even of a technique, but one of extreme shapes in order to get flexibility within my wrist. So I'll do a bong, that's fine. The tan, that's fine. And at this point, my middle finger will remain on the pivot point on the tip of the finger, and I'll press forwards. So I'm trying to get that stretch. That then gives me the option of, well, if I want to use this as a lift, I'm okay to do that. If I want to use a palm, I'm okay to do that. So it follows that kind of idea that, like if you're training in karate and you wanted to kick at head height, you would train to do the splits, or you would train to kick much higher, just so that the head height kick is more comfortable. We kick waist height. The reality is actually that we will do a kick to the knee much more comfortably, you know? So if I can do this technique, am I going to do that? Not really, but it means that I can do the lift or the palm much more comfortably. So that is a great question. It's a great thing, a great topic to raise, because it's Michael, how you're doing that. It's really casual, but that's fine. That's good. That's really, yeah, absolutely. So again, if you want to think of this as simply a lift, that's actually okay. If you want to think of a palm, that's okay. It's all right for me to say it can be this, or this. Really, often we want to know, well, I know it can be those, but what is it? And if I was going to say something that it is, I would say it's a bong and a tan, and then stretch. So we go for that feeling. But of course, understanding it's lots of different things as well. Great. Well, thank you for that. That's good. Gives me a chance to open up on something there. Michael, question? Yeah, brilliant. Please do jump in. Can you unmute yourself? Technical time. Does you remember?
Got it. Okay. I got a question. In yesterday's, you put on pack on Facebook. You were doing a pack like a. Okay. I got a question. Would there come a time where you would do? I know you do a pack and a strike. Would there come a time where you would do a pack, strike, and then a trap, or could you just go pack, trap, and strike? You know what I mean? Would you like trap?
My son just wandered in. Oh, hang on. Don't open that, look, please. Sorry. There's a lamp on there. Well, there's a lamp on there. It depends. You can do any combination you want, really. That's
okay.
You know, you can.
Would the trap be a good option, Sifu?
Yeah.
Would that be a good option, trapping and then striking?
I you know, I
It
never
would
like
depend on the situation.
yeah, I never like to answer these things because it depends where the other person's arm is. You know, it's like I think I don't know if it's the blog I did yesterday or the part two. The part two of that blog on Saturday. Do make sure you catch that because it's quite an unusual. It's changing the angle of attack. So instead of a pack punch, it's a pack punch driving in from the side this way. And like instead of the fax out, it's using a ball and a downward strike. So the ball and a downward strike. So it becomes like almost like a cup jam. So a press and a strike, press and a strike. But one of the things that I mentioned in there is along this very fact, we can train a tan, a bong, and a bew, let's say, or a pack and gum, whatever. But we don't decide which one we're going to use. Our attacker will decide that for us because we don't know where that strike's going to go in. If I come in with a punch and you packs out with your left hand, so you knock my hand across here, that's it, and I come over the top. But you, with your left hand, you just grab hold of that with that lead hand and pull down. Bang! Now you can hit, and all of a sudden you've trapped me. But that was like we've stumbled into that arena. You know,
Okay.
is it a good thing to practice and to play? Yes, absolutely. Would we ever think that we're going to use it? No, but you know, we don't know. Keep open-minded. It might well be that again we do that same left packs out. I punch, you packs out across. If I punch and I leave my hand there, absolutely. But if I pull this hand back and you lapse out, so now you punch with the right hand, or fax out, whatever. And at that point, now when I punch, you might slap down with your right hand. So that slaps down and you've covered, so you've trapped on this side. So now we start to get into the realms of, well, so you guys punch with your left hand, put your left hand forward. I turn with a packs out, so this way. If I just stayed at that point, I'm not going to stay there. I'm talking if you've done 1, 2 straight away. So I've done the packs out. If the right hand comes in over the top now and I lap it, then I'm trapping your arms momentarily as I hit. So that's me saying, well, from packs out, we can trap with the lap because you left your arm out. But you do your left punch again, everyone. Left punch comes in, I do the packs out. Now you pull the left hand back as you right punch. And my intention might be to hit, but I'll intercept your right hand. So now I'll press down and pin with my gum cell. So we end up changing from, well, I did the pack, and yes, I could trap. But what do I trap with? Do I trap with the lap or do I trap with the gum? Again, your attacker will decide that for you. So it's as long as we're kind of protecting that front yard that I'm talking about, you know, we're making sure that we stay within those realms and not go beyond that, we will be okay. Our attackers will get big, they're bigger and stronger. You know, it's how much skill are they going to have? Let's say not so much initially. So that means they're going to telegraph their intention. You could have hit them. They come in with a strike, you could block and hit them. They will probably overcommit, so you can block and hit them. So all you need to do is protect your area. They will be running across the yard and running out into the street and all those kind of examples that I mentioned. Let me just check that everyone's muted for a sec while I carry on. There's, oh gosh, what have we done? Wrong button. There we go. So everyone's muted again. Great. There's also, I want to kind of just mention this as well, that when I started training, which was like 40 years ago, you know, you kind of just got karate and judo, you know, and that was it. And people had heard of Wing Chun, but it didn't sort of pop up much. And then about 82. Wow, hang on, crikey, that's when I saw Wing Chun. Crikey, that's Wing Chun 40 years ago. Wow, I didn't know I'd been doing it that long. But that was my first encounter. But I got into Wing Chun properly kind of mid-80s. But even then, it wasn't, people didn't really know much about it. They didn't do much, and it was incredibly effective. It does happen, or so happen these days, that it's almost like everyone you ask, they've done something. You know, oh, I did a little bit of kickboxing when I was young. I did a little bit of Thai. I've done some judo, some karate. So we do get more and more and more. sometimes I think this puts ideas in people's heads of all our attackers are highly trained, highly skilled ninjas. And it is worth breaking this down a little bit as well. Now, I'll start off by saying something that's going to sound rude and sexist, and I don't mean it this way. I really don't. But it will just make sense a little bit. Let's say, okay, you got 7.5 billion people on the planet. All right, they're not all going to come knocking at your door, so don't worry about that. You know, that's fine. We could eliminate half of the population straight away by saying, well, let's say if it's women. That's the sexist bit. You know, I don't mean that, you know, ladies can be great fighters as well. That's absolutely, and Wing Chun is the proof on that. But I'm saying, like, you know, if it's a little girl, if it's like an old lady, you know, the friendly lady next door. So let's rule them out. Then we get to the male population. Then we say, well, let's get rid of all the children. Let's get rid of all the pensioners. You know, so then we get down to more. Then so we reduce that more. Then we'll get down to sensible people that we wouldn't expect to be starting fights with us. You know, you got your law enforcement officers, you got your barristers, your lawyers, your dentists, your doctors, you know, so your professional people, white collar workers. This goes less. So this demographic of fear gets smaller and smaller and smaller. We can then also reduce, we can put that sort of limitation on the places where we go. You know, only the other night I went down to my local opium den and there was a fight. Really? Well, I'm not surprised. So maybe let's look at the places you frequent. You know, if you're gonna go to certain places, then there might be some danger. I'm not saying that we all need to stay indoors and hide in the shadows, but you know, these options do get less and less and less. Then we get down to the actual people that may be a threat. People of a similar build, you know, if you like to go out and have a drink, so you go to a bar, that might be a problem there, of course. You know, not everybody is out for a fight. You know, people may just want to go for a drink and have a nice time. There might be people with their families. There might, Nick, we chatted about this, there might be people that are a little bit weird, you know. We also might realize that sometimes some of these people, they might have a little bit of mental health issues, and we are just reading their situation wrong. They're not a threat. We just look at them and you know, we're going to kind of prejudge that person unnecessarily. If it does come all the way down to the person that is an actual threat to you, let's look at this now. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing. You know, you get someone that may have, you know, I had a great connection with somebody who said that he'd learned karate and he was quite skilled, and sort of wanted to test himself a little bit. And when I asked where he'd trained, he said that he'd watched all the Chuck Norris and Van Damme movies, so that was his his training. He wasn't a threat. let's just put it that way. If you get someone that is highly skilled and really good at what they do in their martial arts, they're not the people that start the fights, you know. So again, looking at someone that is like a skilled cage fighter, you know, you're whoever these people might be, they're training as a sport. That's for the cage fight. Boxers, you know, someone who's a good boxer. A boxer does not want to get into a street fight and end up breaking his little finger. It's really, you know, these things get less and less and less, and the people that start fights are the ones with who are very low on confidence. They feel like they've got something to prove. When they know they can do stuff, they stop doing it. That happens a lot. It's a really big thing. So, you know, we need to realize that the people that are gonna try and do something, there's a reason for it. There's an ulterior motive. You know, this is the thing. So this is why I will say to you about standing chin up, shoulders square, hands up so you're ready, but looking the person up and down so you know what they look like. They know that you know what they look like. You check them out. This makes them a bit unnerving. You know, you haven't cowered away. You haven't walked past and looked down like this and looked away. You've looked straight at them. You know, showing these elements of confidence is the kind of Wing Chun that I'm saying that you can end up using without knowing it, and diffuse situations and unfortunately make that attacker look for somebody else who's not looking like they might know something, they might be clued up, that I'm not going to be able to kind of just spring on them without them knowing. And again, it's that thing, this isn't paranoia, it's just having a constant state of awareness about you, you know, and the thing is as well, you actually enjoy life more that way. You know, you'll notice things that you didn't before. You know, oh, there's a beautiful house there. I've walked past that like every day and I've never really looked at it. So we start to observe things. When we see people, we observe that, well, they're looking a bit strange. Better check that out before I just walk into it, you know, or have a look at the person. And a lot of these things that we can then start to sort of diffuse that situation. After saying all that, I'm not sure quite why I went on to it. But I think it's about the pack and the traps. And if somebody does move in for something, the pack's out straight away. And you then remember what we don't do. We don't turn. We turn and punch. No, we don't even do that. We turn and punch, 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 punch. We don't bung that fax out. We bung that fax out. Bam, 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 bam. Because you turn the tables. You take control of that. We don't block, because then we'll have to block again and again and again. And again. So we need to attack the attack. So we will give that person an out. We will show confidence. So when the person punches, I was just thinking of going off on a different area there, but if someone punches and that was their chance, you are then in. Bam, 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 bam. You know, you give them forceful push, a powerful strike, a little tweak to the knee perhaps, and then start shouting at them, come on then. You know, and at that point, whoa, Jesus, didn't expect that. You know, and that gives you an out. You turn the tables. I'm not suggesting you start kind of beating them up or anything, you know, I'm not promoting that at all. But we need to kind of, that thing of the worm has turned, you know, we need to kind of just switch it on them, but they don't expect that. So when we're getting to that point of like how much we're actually going to get the trap and the pin, yes, it does happen. Is it a valid thing to want to ask and to train? Yes, and yes, absolutely, 100%. What I try to avoid as much as I ever can is pigeonholing techniques, you know, and that was the thing, certainly, like, you know, when I was a kid and I was doing like judo and such, it was when somebody attacks you this way, who's going to attack you this way for starters? You know, and it was a case of like blocking this way and then to twist the arm and we step in. And it was so precise and regimented and everything was like, you do this for this attack, this for this attack, and this for this attack. I'm not teaching Wing Chun. I'm allowing you to learn Wing Chun. I want to be your guide, and I want you to be able to direct your attention to wherever that entry point of danger is, and that's what we're moving forward to. As soon as I get you blocking and get you realizing that I can move out to these, or I can move away from these, I can step back from these. We then add to that not only do we realize that when I move out, I can then also counterattack. I can block and counter. I can step in with stuff. If I move out of range of my hands, I've got my feet. So then we start to realize from the blocks, we look at the attacks and putting these together. Then we start to look at what we're doing now. We're looking at the mental approach to this, the continuation of this, or the confidence to continue with it, which prevents the initial opening of that. So this is the only reason, whenever I say, no, I'm just giving you like 10 minutes on it. But if, you know, the reason why, if you say like, can we pack and trap? It would be really easy for me to just say yes and give you some techniques. Personally, I feel that that's it's potentially irresponsible. It's dangerous for me to say that. And certainly, you know, because of my being lucky with instructors and having done this, you know, a lot of people might kind of think, well, you know, he said it, so yeah, that's what you do. And so because of that, because of the connection with Yip Man's son, I don't want to kind of just give guarantees of, yes, this technique works, because we don't know. And I don't want to give techniques, I want to give principles, I want to give understandings. I will say this, I have little doubt that any of you would not be able to defend against any of these throwing techniques that I give you, because I can see what you're doing, I can see the mannerisms, the way, like Wotek, for instance, just even your stance there, you know, you're sitting there, this is just, that for me is beautiful. I think that's prime. You just Nabaran as well, the same thing. You just, when we kind of get used to just chatting with our hands, it's this, the potential obstruction for somebody that may want to attack, you know, and the simplicity of your defense from where you are. And this is, I'll say this one more time as well. Watch the blog on Saturday. I've done it, so it releases at 10 a.m. It's scheduled. I want to see if I can work that, but anyway, you'll see it. And it's using bong, almost not this way, drawing in and facts out, but almost kind of hitting with the elbow. And one of our guys that was in that class, he said, and the way I'd explained it, and you can try this as well if you don't get any partners at any point, if you've got a family member, just ask them, you know, just ask them to place a fist, and what I want you to do is step in and bop, and just go genuinely and deliberately to step in and try and bop you on the nose. If anyone's got an old boxing glove, get them to put that on, but genuinely go for the punch. And the breakdown of this was to do a normal bong, like so, but bring the bong in to you, so it's collect right in. And then the only thing, when that punch came in and was committed, all you needed to do was turn. So it was just that little turn of the elbow. That was going to give the little dink of the punch. Now, hang on, we've just overcommitted there with a bong. Well, there's a couple of things. Often when a punch comes in, the person is way out of range. And so then turning is overcommitted. Let's look at this as being like on a pivot point. If you stay there in front of me and punch, and your arm is like super long, and I turn to here, yes, I've overcommitted. But if you're stepping in, as you get closer to me and I turn, we rotate around this pivotal point. As you step in, we rotate. So my bong anyway would still be facing you fine, just because you can see something in the mirror. I'm not looking at where you were, I'm looking now at where you are. And that's the difference. However, even then, when you look at this, try and think of it not as a bong, but as a cup jam, as an elbow strike. And so for that reason, we have a bong. We collapse the bong into ourselves, and we're going to turn, deflecting the punch. From there, I can press down with the elbow a little bit and think of the blade of the hand almost chopping down on an angle. So it's going to come across onto the collarbone, bang, this way. So that's going to be the flow of it. So it has a kind of chop and chop. So a little bit like you're doing the crawl in swimming, that kind of thing. Anyway, the reason why I say that is because I'm changing that attitude for the guy. Well, Jack, you won't know him, but he said that was just a complete game changer. It made him completely understand bong in a different light. So again, I'm looking there at Wotec from there. If you were just to lift your elbow and turn, you don't even need to throw that hand forward, you see. If I keep this hand close to me and I just lift my elbow and turn. So it was the perfect, Nick, perfect, brilliant, perfect. And Palo, excellent, both of them, excellent. It was a case of the, and everybody was kind of, there were like 3 or 4 of them that were buzzing about the fact that this is when somebody's right in your face. And even if it's a headbutt, it was to like strike, it was to use this way. But again, what do? We don't just bong, we attack, we attack, we attack, we attack, tap, tap. And it changes the dynamics of anything that can then follow on. So yeah, well, there you go. 2 techniques, and it's taken 2 questions taken out for the session, but it's great because it's not so much the technique, it's not the application or the pattern, it's the principles behind it. And I think when we can all follow things, you know, like that wonderful guy who learned karate by watching the Van Damme and Chuck Norris movies. We can all learn techniques, but if we don't understand the principle behind it, we can be very misguided on what we're doing. And that's a huge part of our training. If we look at just one thing for Wing Chun, if I'd never told you to not overcommit, how rubbish would your Wing Chun be? If I told you to never try and relax after you've applied the energy, how rubbish would your Wing Chun be? So this is just a couple of simple principles that would be like the the pinpoint of your Wing Chun. Right, I'm going to give you some strikes, and we'll see how you get on. So I always like this. Paolo, while you're waiting, you can have that one. Oh, love it. Great. There you go. Then what's coming in? Excellent. Good, good, good. This is brilliant. Straight away, you're all attacking the attack. See if you can go one step further. See if you can read my body weight, where the punch is coming in and what's happening. So see, that's good, Nick. That's all right. Stepping right in like that. That's a good move. And now, Barun, have one of them straight under. Whoa! And there's that one over the top from last week. That's it. Remember the wooden dummy with 3 arms? Oh, yeah, yes. Good. You were all attacking then. That would have stopped my second strike. So look at what I'm coming in with. So, yeah. Can you see it? I may have told you this story before. I'm going to pause just for one moment. All right, it's not a joke. I want to tell you this story just briefly. I had a guy on the beginner course, and I asked years ago, sort of fairly sporty looking fella, and I asked him to come in with a punch, and this is what he did. If you've seen this before, you'll remember straight away. So see if you can block this, okay? I said, come in with a punch. And I said, faster, really fast, and genuinely put it in. And he said, okay, if you're sure. So you ready, guys? And I said, seriously, as fast as you can, honestly, you're not going to hit me. If you can hit me, free training for a year. Come on, I'll go for it, full power. You ready, guys? You ready? Here it comes. Could you see that punch? Do you think it would have foxed you that? Because this is what I'm talking about. This is your random guy, okay? I thought he was joking when I just kept saying, like, I did about 3 or maybe 4 times. I said, you know, just faster, as fast as you can. And he got quite upset about it at the end of the session, and he said there was no need to embarrass me. And I apologized and asked him to explain. And he said that was as fast as he could punch. It was a genuine fast punch. He was really going for it. And I apologized and said, I'm sorry, I had no idea. You know, we train and we get so used to the relaxation giving us excess speed, and we expect that speed back. And you know, I'm sorry that happened. Anyway, you know, he never came back. And so it obviously really upset him, and I'm sorry about that. But this was as fast as he could punch, you know. So when we're training here, when you're getting that, it's like, let's not get overly, I don't want you all to relax, not at all. What I'm trying to say is that we do not have to kind of overly live in fear that everyone that's going to attack us is a Bruce Lee. So we're back into the sparring now, the virtual sparring. Because of that, I'm going to punch with that attitude. I'm not going to try and slow it down, but I'm going to try and be a kind of average kid on the block, as it were. Okay, so here we go. I'm trying not to look at you and get overly distracted. So react to these, all right? Imagine I'm coming in now earnestly. So my intent is real. Wotek, follow on. Good block, really good block. That's the one, that's the fella. Good. Pick the pace up a little bit. Like you're singing there, Michael. Get in. Come on. Bang, 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 bang. Boom. Get angry. Show me your war face. Yes. Okay, come on, let's pick the pace up. Bang, get it, boom, 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 boom. This is it, we're going, we're going. Hey! Hey, yeah. Come on, come on, come on, come on. 2 more. Hey! Come on, come on. Hey! Okay, again, keep it up, keep it up. That's better. Hey! Okay, great. What I was looking up for, you can relax. Okay, no trick, just for Michael. Oh dear, oh dear. Sneak it up. Yeah, strange thing that happened there, everybody. I told you about the guy punching and about the pace. It was a bit slower than I'd expected, a lot slower. This was in the early days when I decided, do you know what, I'm just going to, on every beginner course, and then, so this might have been, well, it was well over 20 years ago for sure. And I just thought, I need to kind of make people believe in Wing Chun. So every beginner course, I always get somebody, the one that I think looks maybe the biggest threat, the one that looks the fastest or the fittest or whatever. I don't ask them if they've done any training before. I don't want to know. And I will always ask them, as you know, my guys will be watching this and nodding at this point in recognition. And I'll just say, okay, I want you to come in with anything, just come in and with a punch and just try and hit me. And that's it. I don't shake their hand first. And that's key for me, because if I shake their hand, as soon as I get a contact, it's like, I feel everything straight away. You know, like, is it a feeble handshake? Is it over, like, oh, I don't want to hit? Is it cautious? Is it like, yeah, come on then, show, you know, I don't want to know anything about them. I don't want any contact until they've, and I don't want to know what skills they've got. Why should I? Why would I? And so I'll always get someone then to just have a go and try and hit. And I'll promise them, look, you're not going to get hit. I just want to show you how we defend in Wing Chun. I will say a singular strike. That's always a key thing. You know, I don't want to just kind of constantly trying, because otherwise it's like you're going to have to tie them up at some point. So this was in the early days of me doing that, when I asked that guy to go for the punch, and I was shocked at that. They've not always been that slow, but that was one thing. Anyway, I did those punches to you slowly, and you defended and counterattacked slowly, and that was interesting. You all did the same thing. So I started to pick the pace up. I was like, come on, come on, come on. Whoa, guys, did you go faster? Straight away. When I was moving fast, you went fast. Then I tried slowing it down, and you kind of held on to your pace a little bit. You need to realize that no matter what I do, whether I'm slow or not, you've got to be like some rabid spider monkey. You know, I have no idea what that would look like. I'm guessing. But as soon as I move in, the threat is engaged. You cannot put anything down to chance. You need to eliminate that threat. You know, I don't mean obviously, but you need to stop that danger. Stop me from being able to threaten or hit you again, because I might be slow. Yeah, this way, as I pull a knife out of my pocket. You know, you don't know. So you need to eliminate that threat immediately, very quickly. You can apologize afterwards. You'll be able to, because you will have control. You'll have self-restraint. All right, you don't know what this guy's about, this threat. You've tried to walk, you've tried to talk, you've calmed everything, done everything you can at this point, and the guy's, and he's come in, he's with a grab or a push. We don't know what it's going to be. It could be a strike, anything. You deflect that. You go, 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 fast, fast and hard, until you are in a comfortable position, feel controlled enough to then get some sense out of the guy, or walk away, or ask someone to call the police while others restrain him, you know, this kind of thing, whatever it might be. But going slow because they go slow, that is one of those things what I've said to you before. Anything you can do to them, you must assume they can and will do to you. And this is why I'll teach. If I've got any tricks, I'll always teach them. I'll pass them across because I want that done on me. Because if it is done on me, I'll be like, oh man, I can't believe it. I thought for my own ploy there. What's just going on? Just because a crocodile slowly walks up to you doesn't make it any less of a threat than a lion. You know, this is the thing. I want you to consider this. So if I needed me as a Wing Chun person, if I needed to attack you at the moment, I wouldn't do that. That's silly. You know, we know the things. I bring my hands up slowly to myself first. Well, what have I done? Well, I don't want to, you know, I'll let people see this. I'll let you get used to my hands moving forwards and backwards until they're close enough that I feel fairly certain that when I punch from there, you're not going to be able to defend it. If I punch from way back here, you're going to see it. So using that idea that I would, you know, if somebody's robbing my house, if there's a burglar in the house, you know, I'd be like, whoa, take what you want. Just please leave our holiday money in the jar over there. Don't take that, will you? You know, he looks, bang, and we're in. You know, then we move in. The trickery, the silliness. This is what muggers do to us, remember? You know, hey, have you got the time, buddy? Yeah, it's, you know, oh, have you got a light? Have you got a light, please? Oh, yeah, just let me find it. Bang, and you're hit. You know, does such and such live on this street? Oh, I don't know, I'm not from around here. Bang. You know, these are distractions. And it's from the dawn of time. You know, you did it at school. Hey, your laces undone. Made you look. You know, these are all little tricks. It's distraction. This is why we do Sulam Tao, so that we stay focused. We realize there's a threat. If that person is asking us something and we want to answer, I want to tell him the time, then fine, I'll step back. I'll bring my hand up in between, so pretending I can hardly see it because of the light. My hand is in between, I can clearly see him. I'll tell him the time, I'll look him down. Yeah, it's, you know, it's 10 to 3, yeah. Oh, nice shoes, man, I like those. I used to have a pair like that. Engaging conversation, disarms them, you know. Also, they know that you know their shoes. You know, that you know what they look like. These are all little things that just makes a person think, ah, shit, I don't have that element of surprise anymore. You know, boom, boom, boom. You just disarm completely all these little bits. So if somebody comes up to you slowly and then they're like asking you, yeah, what's about the time, yeah, have you got a light, yeah, is there a place to park in? Where's the parking meter for the, am I all right parked here for a while? Because, you know, and then they start moving in. Step back if you're not sure. If they then continue moving in, it's not a conversation. You know, this is the thing. You need to decide when is a joke, no longer a joke. If they're stepping in, they accelerate and move, you react, bang, boom. Give them one solid one, boom, yo, calm down, buddy. You know, what's going on? And then you can get to converse with them, you know, at that point. If they stand up and it's a threat, steam in. Wait, don't wait for anything, you know. So we attack the attack. We stop being the prey, and we start being the what do you call it? The attacker. I don't know. I was going to do an impression of a vulture then. I don't know why. Well, that took a turn, didn't it? Yeah, well, Tech. So basically, you lift. Michael, yeah, you can trap. Can we train it? Can we visualize it? Absolutely, and that is a great way of doing it. I used to kind of have what I would call like ghost fights, you know. And this is a really important thing. And I don't think I've ever said this on this medium because, you know, I always thought it made me look a bit crazy. But it's what I've always said in my private classes, that I would imagine being in a position. I have said this. I think. Imagine being in a situation where someone's in front of you. And even if they catch you off guard, you know, that whoa, punch comes in, it might catch you a little bit as you try and get your ball up. So you're in a strange position, the person's taller. Maybe I could get under his arm at this point, you know, facts out under his arm. Not too dissimilar to section 3 in the dummy, you know, so same principle. If a punch comes in and it swings around, what about just shoulder barging straight into their body, you know, and getting used to these techniques? Maybe at this point, Michael, you might think, well, just bring his arm down and hit. So you've just done a trap, you've done a pin. So to visualize some of these things, well, I don't mean it's, you don't, it's very easy to think, right, okay, yeah, I know what I'll do. Okay, there's 5 of them. And then all of a sudden, you know, there's 3 gone, you know. Think of it as something that's realistic, that you could imagine as a bit of a threat. What if I got kicked in the knee and then they came in? You know, how would I react to that? How can I defend? How can I just use my mass to barge the person into the wall? Because there is a wall there. Let's start to identify with what's available in that room that could assist us. You know, and this is that thing of, it's fun as well. Let's look at it this way. It's working your grey cells. It's getting a little bit of creativity. You know, there's nothing wrong. We get a little bit older, we start writing, we start painting, this kind of thing. You learn to play an instrument. Nothing wrong with using that kind of creativity. All right, doesn't mean you're bonkers. And it'll give you a bit of a workout, and it'll also help your understanding of perception. So yeah, when we have our sparring, when you do the sparring, or if you look at any of these, you know, we've got them in the library as well. You know, if you click on my account, you'll see some things in there. Consider the fact that every time the punches come in, no matter how fast or slow it is, you need to be 100%, and that's the thing. So don't get drawn into somebody else's game. You need to understand your game. Nick, yes.
I fear I might look a little silly trying to communicate this, but so much of it's just kind of aligning to some sort of epiphany. It seems as if, almost as Westerners, and I don't want to necessarily label, but when we're training, we tend to try to pick a block or a position long before it almost happens, like we narrate it, right? So he punches, I pack, he does this. Rather than it just dawned on me that this is really the art part of it. We actually can't explain it. We can't tell the story until it's over, because because they're telling the story, and so we're dealing with what they're giving us. And if we haven't practiced these positions enough times, we don't have the vocabulary, or we can't play that instrument in such a way that we can deal with what's coming at us.
Absolutely.
Does any of that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely does. You know, and also much more than you're aware. And as soon as I say this, you're going to know it straight away. You're going to recognize what you've just said, actually, what you've just explained. This is the key part of this. None of the techniques in Wing Chun have names. You know, they're all descriptions. So we only ever describe what we just did. So how can we describe what we're going to do? You know, we can't describe the future as a past tense. So it's a very interesting kind of, I like that phrase. I'll use that again. We can't describe the future as a past tense. Yeah, so like I've just had that situation where, okay, we all want to be square onto the person, we'll have the movie guard and all the rest, but I didn't. I started my little play out there by being hit, by catching one, or being kicked in the knee. And it was that put me in the shape where I'm not good with my hands. So do you know what? I'm going to push off with my right leg and up, and I'm going to use my body, bang, to push in and barge in. And only then do I realize, hey, that's like third section of the wooden dummy. So now I then play my wooden dummy, and when I get to this point, I'm going to think that technique that I just played out, I can use it that way, and I'll just keep drilling it, bang, and then back at the side. I'll keep drilling it. Remember I said last week about the wooden dummy? And I know I'm not doing the kick here. I said about the wooden dummy, we have the form, which is in basic and advanced, and then we have the drills, and then we have the free flow. And this is the kind of drill element where we'll just keep going over the same thing, but trying to get a different feel of how we might apply that. So yeah, I mean, and also remember the blog I did of cross training, it was, I think I mentioned about blueprints of Wing Chun. So it's not until we do this scrappiness, and then throw out, do we then realize, hey, that's the start of Chun Kyu, you know? But if we look at that and think, well, how can I use this? How can I use this? Okay, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to pick up a pig and I'm going to throw it at somebody. What? You know, you just start kind of making up ridiculous kind of examples of how, what you saying that this is you picking up a pig and throwing it at somebody. What? You know, so we then, it's better if we find a technique and then try and find it in the forms and marry the two as an application. But exactly what you're saying there, Nick. Yeah, we can't. I don't know if it's in yesterday's blog or the Saturday one, but I do actually mention that in the video when I'm with the instructor James, and I'm saying that it's very easy. What we tend to do is get in front of somebody and think, okay, when this guy punches, where I'm going to, and then you've just been kicked in the groin because you've engaged your own brain as to how you think this is going to play out. You don't know how it's going to play out. You know, so we keep an open mind and we keep ready. The only thing we do need to keep ready for ourselves is that if we realize that this has got to end in conflict, that you have this Loksao Jikyun, lost hand straight punch, and you're ready to launch from wherever you are, boom, straight in, without any kind of telegraphing or tell. You know, so we realize that that is now my intention. Yeah, Nick, did you have something to add on that? Yes.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking, I mean, so that's where I hear you inviting us from moving from a beginner to being more advanced, because I can work on that dummy in a very static manner and think this is always how the punch is going to be, but I have to switch my imagination into that creative mindset and say, oh, how would I deal with this, right? If it's coming in this way, or if I'm going back. And so I'm just hearing, yeah, it's just really good stuff.
Thank you. You know, as well, this is the thing. It's like if you're playing on a dummy, and you can do this with any form as well. This would be interesting, like, for any of you guys. If you want to have a little go through your even Sulum Tao, all right, or Chum Kyu, we can go through one of these forms or the dummy for sure. If you want to drill something like your packs, and then for no reason, just tell yourself, a hook punch has just been thrown. Boom. So just break off from where you are and deal with that. You know, let's say I'm doing my Chum Kyu and I'm here, and then all of a sudden an uppercut comes in. Boom, just drop down. Just cover it from where you are. Let's see how that would work. So on that one, I drop down like with the blade edge as a low guard and punch this way, bang, straight down. If I was en route to my bong and the punch came in, maybe I might use this as a gum. I might use it that way. But this is where, like, you guys are very much like this. You know, you can tell there's a creative, and if you're not in touch with it, it's screaming to get out. The creative side within you. You know, I mean, if like, I'm guessing, I'm going to say like, Wotek, you play music. You play the guitar or something? Are you musical at all? No? Painter, artist, nothing, or something. But basically, anyway, the thing is, people are usually.
Yeah. I work as a creative director, actually. So
oh, okay.
There's a creative aspect here. Yeah. Oh,
well, fantastic. Well, there we go. But people tend to. There's always seems to be like something creative about that person. You know, there's an artistic element. There's some, and this is the thing. It's like trying to explain Sulum Tao to somebody. That just wants to, it's not going to sink in. You know what I mean? It's like you need to allow yourself to open up to the concept that there may be something else that we can connect in with. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to try and get all overly mysterious about this, but I told you this before when I like 30 years ago, after starting my school, Sifu sent me a letter and he said, "How are you enjoying teaching? How is it going? Do you need any help?" And I wrote back to him and I said, "I really enjoy the teaching, love training with people and sharing all this stuff. My only concern is, what do I say when people say, what is energy?" And he wrote back to me and he said, "To know what energy is without actual practice is meaningless. But if you train for some time, then you know what it is." Now, I don't even have to think of that. Those words just reel out. And I didn't even listen to myself, but I'm sure I got it right. The idea being that if I was very eloquent and you know, I could beautifully describe what energy is, if you haven't got it, so what? You know, it's like you can go to the doctor and you can explain in as much detail as you like what you are feeling, but he will never feel what you are feeling, like people's pain threshold, you know. On the other side of this, if I'm doing Sulam Tao, and wow, I can feel something. It feels like there's something there, but I can't describe it. Stuff you lot. So what? Yay! I've got it. So this is the thing, to know what energy is without practice is meaningless. But if you train for some time, then you know what it is. So the fact that you can't explain it is irrelevant. You may all feel things that are different. Well, I don't know what that is. And for me to do this thousands of miles away is crazy. But what I can do through my experience is to give you different ways of adjusting this, little exercises where we can work on the sensitivity. And when I see your face kind of light up like the, yeah, whoa, hang on, or you describe that you're feeling something in a particular way, I know that we're getting into that. And for me, when I first felt energy, my experience, my wording for myself was, wow, this feels like there's something strong there. But you know what? That doesn't feel like it's just muscle. And that's the first thing. So then the bit is trying to distinguish between the two. And of course, it's a tiny speck. You don't suddenly have like Popeye arms and, the Man of Steel energy. You don't have it. You don't know what it is. So it's just, first of all, finding something, that feel, and then trying to hone in on this. Don't distract me. Don't distract me. I want to really feel what this is. Sulam Tao, little idea. That's why we think on this. Then we get more and more feeling what this one little element is, and we get rid of all the annoying muscle that's just distracting us and interfering with it. And we focus on that little speck, and we get more and more familiar with it. We start to get in contact with it sooner than we did the last time. And then we start to try and increase this feeling within our arm. And this is how we build energy. And then somebody comes along and they'll say, hey, what's energy? That's your journey, my friend. So we'll guide you along, we'll help you. But and again, going back to Michael's question of can we trap from gums and laps and this kind of thing? I can give answers. I could give a direct answer, but I don't think it's the right way to go. And it's almost irresponsible. It kind of shortchanges you to do that. I think we all deserve, and not very long, but I think we all deserve a certain rite of passage. I think we all need to follow a certain journey, and you guys like already have you've done this already. Half of you have done this. I think, in fact, I don't think any of you have not had that journey already. Wotek, I'm not sure, have we, how long have we been training now? Is it a year yet? It's not, is it not? I'm saying about 8 months?
1.5 to me, yeah, 1.5, but this could be my, probably, I don't know, maybe 8th session online.
Oh, you've been training longer than that, surely. But anyway, the thing is, it's like, we can see already like the way you train, you're connecting with it, you're understanding it. And this is the thing. So we need to allow ourselves that creativity was my point. So when we play Sulam Tao, maybe I might just go for the stretching. Maybe I might think of this as a palm strike. Maybe I might think of dropping in order to get the lift. Play what you want. Could it be this, this, or this? Well, what is it? So if you want a definitive answer, I'm going to say bong down, keep the middle finger where it is, and go for the stretch. You might find your stretch only goes to there. That's fine. And then we'll gently lock our arm and then continue with the close. So let's go to that as a position afterwards. Michael, to play this kind of visualizing the attacks, not something that you're just going to win every time. Get yourself in an awkward position, something that you think, oh, you're smothered, so you headbutt the guy, and then you'll think, where did that come from? That's not me, but just to allow yourself the freedom, the escapism of this, So I think sometimes people might look at this and think, I think you've lost it, friend. You're going a bit nutty. Escapism. These would be the same people, surely, that would then go to the movies to pay money to see Brad Pitt as, Achilles in some movie. It's not Achilles, it's Brad Pitt. He's an actor, but you've paid your money for that escapism to go see the Bond movie, to see the Star Trek movie, You know, they're not actually up there, you know. So it's, if we can allow ourselves to believe in a play, a show, a performance, a movie, you know, a piece of music that can, wow, you know, that I got goosebumps from that piece of music. That was fantastic. If we can allow ourselves that, allow yourself the freedom to feel what's inside you rather than what we see outside. Feel the energy, the build-up. Let's get what's going on in here as well. Visualize what's coming in, and only when we react should we then think, what the heck did I just do? And see, well, I lifted up. That's kind of partially a view. That would have been a Jeng Sao. This is a punch. Nick, did we decide to do this beforehand? No, we didn't. Our creativity through our imaginary opponent dictated what techniques we did. Only afterwards will we then give that a name, because, you know, we can't, whatever the phrase was, we can't talk in the future of something that's happened in the past. I'm gonna have to watch this myself. I'm gonna write it down, put it on the back of a matchbook. Guys, I'm gonna save our bit for next week then, our Sealant out. Great, a lot of discussion tonight, and not massively training. So what I'm going to ask is, when I cancel this, do 500 punches. Give yourself 500 punches. You can either do it as a set of 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 and back down, or you can just go for the 50 punches as fast as you can, and then 2, go for it, 3. So do a 10 set of 50 punches, and then at least your arms are worked, and then you'll know you've done something. Guys, thank you so much. Really lovely to see you. This is great. You do honestly feel like family, and yeah, fantastic. Thank you.